Good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Tuesday, October 14th, 2025. Sorry, I just got distracted there for a split second because some peanut on the oval is yelling and screaming at his dog who just wants to have a good time and play with other dogs. But anyway, not my business. Just worried about this little fella who's more than happy this morning. He's out loving the sunshine. It's actually said it was 7 degrees this morning, so I thought, yeah, that's probably about the weather to put this vest on. No beanie, but the vest. And I've got out and it feels a lot warmer than 7 degrees. So a little bit warm under the coat, but we'll survive. It's too late now. I'm already about halfway through the walk, so it is what it is. He's out there having a good time. Good on him. All right, on this day, actually, a fair bit happened last night on Talking Boxing. I'll get into that as well and some other really good Aussie news getting around at the moment as well. All right, 1967, Vicente Saldivar, who I think was on this day yesterday with a different fight. He defended his world featherweight title with a win over Howard Winston from Wales. It was a TKO in the 12th round, and the fight took place in Mexico City. What does it say there? Okay. Oh, yeah. After the win, Saldivar announced his retirement, but would return a few years later. There you go. And also on this day, 2006, Mikkel Kessler defended the WBC and WBA super middleweight titles by knocking out Marcus Bayer, the late Marcus Bayer, who we all know very well due to his wars with Danny Green back in the day, so and tragically passed away a few years back. So not good. What else have we got here? Someone just sent me something. All right, okay, thank you. I'm just sorry, I'm sort of distracted there because I get sent things as I'm walking. This one's from Box Mad. Thank you, Box Mad. Sends me stuff. It's just something's come through that I'll address in this as well. He sent me a couple of things this morning as well. So thank you to everyone that sends me some news, breaking news that is, which is even better. Doing it live on here. All right, let's get into today's news, if you will. And last night, Talking Boxing, it was funny. The main topics centered around some debates about Boots Ennis and Brian Norman. Strange enough, considering that Brian Norman is 147 and Jaron Boots Ennis is now 154. But there was some debate about Boots Ennis, or Puss in Boots, someone called him, going up to 154 to avoid Brian Norman. I don't really think that's the case. I just think Boots Ennis has outgrown the division. I don't think Brian Norman was a big enough name and a big enough attraction for him at this stage of his career to stay at 147. I think if there was a Ryan Garcia or a Manny Pacquiao or a Terence Crawford or one of these types of guys, maybe even a Roller Ramiro there, who just a name who he could fight and have an incentive to start, I think he might have considered it, especially if it was Crawford. But I just think the fact that Brian Norman, look, he's a very, very good fighter, and who knows, he might beat Devin Haney when they fight in another month or two. But I just don't think the incentive was there. I don't think it would have been a big money fight. Very risky fight, but I don't think it would have been a rewarding fight for Boots Ennis. And looking how gaunt he even looked at 154, you got to sort of worry about his health, and I'm sure his team thought that as well. And he did look good at 154. I think that's his division for now. I would think that in maybe 2 years' time he'll go to 160 and maybe even 168. Eddie Hearn did say that they'd be prepared to go to 168 to fight Crawford. I don't think at this stage of his career Terence Crawford is looking to do what Canelo did for him and allow a fighter to go up from 154 to 168 and challenge him, because that would be a risky fight for Bud. I still think Bud wins, but it's probably a fight at this stage of his career that he doesn't need. And there's a little bit of news on Crawford in a second there as well. So that was sort of it's sort of come late, that discussion, and it went back and forth and a few people got involved, and I don't think he ran from Brian Norman. I can't remember who was discussing, but I don't think that's the case. I just think it was not a big enough fight to keep him at 147. So he moved up where there is some massive fights up there. And, the biggest one, of course, is Virgil Ortiz, which looks like it's going to happen in the first 3 months of 2026. So some big fights on the horizon for Boo Tennis. What else were they talking about? Oh, obviously, we're speaking with Crawford. There's obviously Canelo came up a couple of times. The Tasman card, a few other bits and pieces like that anyway, but always a good night. We had good numbers again, and really appreciate everyone that tunes in every week and talks boxing for 2 hours. It goes really quick. I've got to say, it's not easy. It's hard work when you've got to talk constantly for 2 hours. It's pretty tiring at the end of it. I need a nice cold drink afterwards and a sit down, because it's not easy. But I really appreciate, again, everyone that tunes in for the shows. And this guy better not look to go over the cliff here. Let me just get him. He's right on the edge of a nice hefty little drop for a little dog. Come on, man. Let's go this way. Come on. All right. Let's get out of here. Trees and bushes and, more importantly, cliffs all around. Come here, man. Let's go. All right. What else is happening? What do we got? Oh, I saw this morning now. Neeks Johnson, Sugar Neeks Johnson, Shanika Johnson, I suppose her full name, Shanika Sugar Neeks Johnson, I'll spit that out, has landed another big fight on an MVP card. This is on the Gervonta Tank Davis, Jake Paul card on November 14 in, where is it now? It was Atlanta. Have they moved it? Where is it? Hang on, I've got it here. It was Atlanta, wasn't it? Miami. It's in Miami now. So she's going to be fighting Canadian Amanda Galley. Is that how you pronounce it? Gall or Galley? In a defence of an undisputed bantamweight world title. So it's only, a month away. So it's a late call-up. But no, Shanika, I'm sure she's been in heavy training and waiting for another opportunity. This is the second time it's actually happened to her, hasn't it? Because the Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano card, she was a late call up to that and ended up winning the undisputed title. So she seems to be in the right spot at the right time. But Amanda Galley, I'll call her, is 12-0-1. Only the one knockout, so not a big knockout artist. Shanika Johnson's 18-2 with 8 KO. So that's at the Casilla Center, Miami, Florida, live on Netflix. Friday, November 14th over there, so the 15th here. Big opportunity for her, and yeah, she's certainly over there doing big things, isn't she? From the Australian scene, who she signed with Luda Bella, I think, at one stage. Just took her chances, got her a big opportunity, took it, and now she's going to be the main prelim for Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul. So, yeah, good on her. I mean, it's another example of I suppose Aussies getting out of their comfort zone and not sort of sitting here in the Aussie bubble and just waiting for it to happen and getting caught up with all the politics of what goes on here, and just getting out of it and going over there and making their own, I suppose, own future, I suppose you call it. Destiny, we'll call that. Their own destiny, that's probably the better word. We've got young Cooper O'Connell over there at the moment, training in Las Vegas. Looking to do some big things over there. I see Liam Wilson's training over in Texas, I think it was, as well. So, and of course, Tim Tszyu attempted it, hasn't worked out so far, but he'll get another crack at it soon. So we can get a little bit bogged down over here in Australia. And I know it's not easy just to pack up and leave and it all happens for you. There's no guarantees, but I think just in life, you got to roll the dice yourself, get yourself, as I said, out of your comfort zone, have a crack, and you just never know what can happen. And I use again the example of young Cooper, who went over there to see the Crawford Canelo fight, sparred 3 or 4 times over there, struck up some contacts, went back over a week after we got home, and he's been over there for the last 2 weeks, getting some great sparring and hooking up with the guys at Split T Gym and many other gyms as well, and absolutely loving it over there. So that's what can happen. All right, still on the Aussie scene. Desi Robinson, I haven't really spoken a lot about this either. She's actually fighting this Saturday, October the 18th. So that will be, what's the date today? The 14th, so in 4 days' time. So it'll be Saturday. So that's Saturday over there, so it'll be Sunday here. That's in Texas as well. She's fighting Logan Holler for the undisputed middleweight title. So what an opportunity for her as well to be over there in the States. Another example of sort of getting out of Australia. Not much going on here. I know she had a couple of bigger fights here, but to get over there and get a a fight on a big card in America. Just fantastic. So all the best to Jessie Robinson as well. Awesome. Now on to the international news, and there is some big things happening over there, especially in light of what happened with Sebastian Fundora injuring his hand. Well, I think what might have actually occurred is we've got an even better result as far as the cards go. So what's happened is they've rescheduled the PBC card. So December 6th, so not the whole card, but two of those main fights that were supposed to happen on the Thurman Fundora card have been transferred to the Isaac Pitbull Cruz and Lamont Roach card. So as it stands now, the December 6th card will be Pitbull against Lamont Roach. How's this one? Yanabek Alam-Kanuli will fight Erislandy Lara in the main support. That's for the, 3 belts? WBA, WBA, Lara's got that. The IBF and WBO, which is Yanabek Alam-Kanuli's belt. So they will fight for those 3 belts. So what it probably does is, come here, man, let's move. You're stagnating a bit there. I know it's cool over here. What that sort of does, you think that all of a sudden Terence Crawford going back down to 160 now is probably going to happen, because if one of those guys has the 3 belts, we'll see what happens with Adames. And you would think that maybe at some stage, or one stage, Crawford will go back down to 160 and try and unify those 160-pound belts. It's a big opportunity for him. It mightn't have been even something that he really thought about too much, but now the fact that one of the fighters is going to have 3 belts and he's only got to sort of clean up 2 fighters instead of 4, that will probably be something that keeps him in the game and keeps him motivated and keeps him with another goal, because to have 4 undisputed world titles, or all 4 belts in 4 different divisions, is something that, while I say we'll probably never see again. I never thought we'd see it in the first place, but if he does it, we'll never see again. But then again, stranger things have happened. Records are there to be broken, aren't they? And then, of course, we're going to have everything complicated when this Super Zuffa thing starts as well. So that was actually one of the things that was on the agenda last night. A lot of discussion about that. I might get into that in a sec, but that is what's going to happen on that cards, PBC. So the rest of the card is Stephen Fulton and Oshaki Foster. And the other one is Jesus Ramos Jr., so Shane Mosley Jr. So what a card. So Cruz, Lamont Roach Jr., Yanabek Lara, Fulton, Foster, Ramos Jr. and Mosley Jr. What a card. So that's going to be December the 6th. Then it looks like the Fundora Thurman fight is going to be on the Pacquiao undercard on January 24, though there is talk that it might move to January 31st, but it doesn't matter. So all of a sudden, PBC look like they've got their act together. They've been watching what's happening in the Riyadh season, I think, and they've finally decided to put some really good cards together. And as pissed off as I'm sure we all were that Fundora Thurman fell over when it did, the fact that PBC have, honoured, I suppose, the guys on the undercard that would have been out of pocket by a lot of money and just opportunity. The fact they've put them on another big card. Now, I'm not sure where that is. There's been a lot of cards going on at the moment. I can't remember. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I think, is it in Texas somewhere? I'm not quite sure. But that is awesome. So the January card with Pacquiao has taken a sudden turn, though, because this is what I've just been sent, is that Roller Amiro has been ordered to fight Shakram Giasov. I always get that wrong. The Chechen. So I don't know whether, what happens? Does he, it says he's got till November 13th to reach a deal. So what does Roller Amiro do? He's in a bit of a hard place, because he'd no doubt say, well, stick your fight with the Chechenian and I'll just fight Pacquiao. But if he does that, he's going to lose his WBA belt. So, and Pacquiao, you would think, is not going to want to fight Ramiro for his WBA, without a WBA belt, or any belt for that matter. So, yeah, that's a tricky one. That is a real tricky one. You would think that, or maybe they might consider that if they do want to make the Pacquiao fight, there might be a few phone calls saying, hey, yeah, a little bit like the Barrios situation, we've got a legend here and it's a big fight and big sanctioning fees, all that sort of stuff, that there might be a bit of step aside happening in that fight. I still think that even though they've ordered it, and they would know that Pacquiao and Barrios is on the verge of happening. So the timing is not great. You would think they would know. I don't know whether they're grandstanding or whatever it might be, the WBA, but they look silly. If Pacquiao Barrios looks like it's going to happen and they're going to make him fight this guy, and if not, they're going to strip him, the credibility drops even further for me. But I would say there might be a bit of step-aside money going on and maybe a promise that the Chechenian fights the winner. Of course, Pacquiao won't do that. He'll just probably vacate the belt, go fight for another belt. So it doesn't really matter for him. But that's what's sort of coming through at the moment. But either way, Pacquiao will fight on January 24th or January 31st, most likely at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. So, but yeah, some good news there with PBC, and I really admire what they've done and haven't just dumped the card entirely, because apparently Keith Thurman said that there was no stipulations in the contract about cancellation and rescheduling and postponements and all that sort of stuff. They had the option just to cancel it. So not sure what Thurman, what is it, October, so 3 months away. So I'm sure, I did say the other day I was a little bit worried maybe about Thurman having the interrupted camp at his age, but I'm sure he'll be fine. He looked in pretty good spirits the other day with his 2 black eyes. But it's good, fantastic that it's been rescheduled. And to have Fundora, Thurman and Pacquiao really against anybody is going to be a big night of boxing, and 2 shows back to back, 1 month after the other, with this Pitbull Cruz and Lamont Roach card. So yeah, awesome news for boxing fans. I'm glad they've salvaged it. Now, I spoke about Crawford before, Terence Crawford. There is talk that maybe it could be Canelo Crawford 2 on Cinco de Mayo weekend in May. Now, that obviously flies in the face of the reports that Canelo's having his shoulder operation, will be out until the second half of 2026. But from what I've sort of seen and heard and read, is that maybe the operation is not going to hinder him as much as initially thought, and he might be able to have that Cinco de Mayo fight in May. So look, it's still one of the biggest fights in boxing, isn't it? Crawford and Canelo 2. Just depends on what I suppose Crawford wants to do. He's in the driver's seat now, but it'd be hard to turn down a rematch with Canelo, wouldn't it, with the money involved and everything. I've got a suspicion, well, it's not really suspicion, I think it's 100% guaranteed they won't get paid what they did the first time around. I would think the percentages would be a lot more in favour of Crawford this time instead of Canelo. Canelo does have a rematch clause. There was conjecture that maybe he didn't, but according to Eddie Hearn, who's promoted Canelo a few times, he said that he does not go into a fight without a rematch clause. So, and I don't think Terence Crawford would be too stressed about it. He'd say, well, bring it on. I'll just probably do it easier next time. So that's sort of good news. It gives, I suppose it gives Canelo a chance to avenge the loss. But also Eddie Hearn did say that when he spoke to Canelo before the fight was even signed with Crawford, that he knew the style was all wrong for him and he wasn't keen on the fight, just did it for the money. And obviously it didn't work out for him, but I think 150 million will help soothe his feelings. But that is the rumour, is that Canelo Crawford 2 could happen on Cinco de Mayo weekend, which I think is either the 1st or 2nd of May next year. So it probably does make a little bit of sense. It's 6 months away. I think he was scheduled to have his operation pretty soon. If he's out of action for a couple of months, it gives him a good sort of 4 months, I suppose, to get himself right. But I don't know, it seems to change by the week, doesn't it? But that is the talk. And I suppose with Crawford as well, it makes a little bit of sense, especially with what I just said about the middleweight division. He could fight Canelo in May, and then maybe at the end of 2026 or even the start of 2027, maybe all those belts might even be tied up by one person. And with the Damas getting involved, and then he just slips in and has to only fight once and fights the undisputed champion and takes the belts, and all of a sudden he's full-time undisputed champion. I don't know, but he's got lots of options, Terence Crawford. I don't think he's going to get that $100 million payday that he was talking about, but you never know. You never know. But there's still some good fights out there for him. What else did I see happening? One last thing. I just wanted to quickly touch on, again, with the talking boxing last night, with the Zuffa thing. I was interested to get the feedback from everyone about that. My thoughts on it, I've still got really strong doubts that he can pull it off with Dana White and A lot of people sort of agreeing, I suppose, with it. Look, I'll just say again, I just don't know how he gets it done. This is Dana White in conjunction with Turki Al Sheikh. When with the UFC, they started from the ground up. I know MMA was a thing, but they really took it and ran with it and made it what it is today. But there was no opposition to it. In boxing, there's four sanctioning bodies already involved, plus all the promoters, and it's an established business and industry and whatever sport. I just don't know how he does it. I really don't know. And I said last night, I really admire Dana White, and I'm a fan of what he does and how he goes about it. But I just don't see how he can pull this off. Even with all that money, because money doesn't mean anything if no one likes the concept. And talk about altering the ring and all these sorts of things. I think that's a recipe to upset all the boxing fans, for starters, changing anything to do with the sport. This whole thing trying to pretty much rid the sport of the other promoters and the sanctioning bodies and only recognising the Zuffa bout and the ring bout. Look, prove me wrong. I just think it's almost impossible that it can happen, at least, for 20 or 30 years. I think that's how long it's going to take. And even if they start buying fighters off and getting them over from other promoters, it's going to have to be a pretty compelling offer, I think, for a totally unknown concept. And the pay discrepancies are pretty well documented with Dana White, how the company is the one that reaps all the benefits and the profits, and the fighters fight for peanuts. I just don't see the boxing fraternity being able to, or the DNA of boxing and what it is. I just don't see how we can change it where fighters are going to want to fight hard fights every single time, because that's what happens when you sign with them. They want the best fights, which is good in theory, but you've got to be able to pay them. And with the concept they've got at the moment with the UFC, I just don't think it happens. So that was, I forgot before, that was one of the main talking points on Talking Boxing last night. Yeah, I suppose the proof will be in the pudding. We'll see. But it's an uphill battle for me. I think it is. It's going to be tough. But again, all be revealed once he actually gets it going, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. All right, guys. Well, having said that, I'm going to call it a day. Got to jump in the car and head to work. Get this little fella home. Normally there's a stream here that he can get a drink, but it's all dried up at the moment, so he's just struggling a little bit. It might take us a little bit longer to get home, but I'm sure he'll be fine. All right, guys. We'll have an awesome Tuesday. We'll catch you tomorrow.